Hello, today we'll be reviewing The Killer from David Fincher. Okay, if we're going to talk about the good aspects of the film, we have to mention that very cool intro, in which we saw all the different ways that he kills his victims. We could see him injecting stuff, I think we could see him drowning people. So yeah, it's a very creative intro that showcases all of the different tools in his arsenal, if you want to say it that way. And right after, in the next scene, we can see his boredom while he's waiting for one of his targets to arrive. He's doing yoga, he's also going outside, and while he's outside, we have a very clear example of the Kuleshov effect. I really think that this scene, in which he is just looking at different people and we as an audience are feeling in the feelings that he's supposed to have, I really think that this could be a very good example of the Kuleshov effect that could be used in film classes. So yes, I really like this intro because it contextualizes the film really well. Apart from the fact that I really like Portishead, the music was one of the most positive aspects of the film. I really liked the irony of the music that they chose because it seemed that it was usually commenting on something that happened in the movie. Like for example, there is this one scene in which the killer becomes a little bit paranoid because he thinks that one of the airplane passengers is an assassin, so he basically sets up a trap for him, but he never arrives. And right after that we can hear a Smith song that says, "I'll probably never see you again." Then there's also the scene right after they hit his girlfriend, in which we can hear the song "Bludgeoned in Your Bed." So yes, super ironic. I really like the use of music in this film. One aspect that makes the music even better is how it ties into the story. So basically, in my opinion, this movie is about the fight between the cold logic that you need to be an assassin versus human empathy. And like he says at the beginning of the film, our protagonist uses music to distract him from the human empathy. So yeah, that turns the music, which was already a positive of the film, into an even bigger positive. Something I also really liked about this movie is how it doesn't really portray an exaggerated assassin like for example Hitman, but that instead its tone is more realistic, like something similar to Leon the Professional or something like Barry. We don't only see the killing part of the job, but we can also see the more mechanical aspects of his daily life, like he's always with a spray wiping out all of his fingerprints, or that he's always throwing stuff to the bin. I really think that the bins are a very prominent aspect of the film, and I think that it's very intentional how they are always showing how he's throwing the stuff to the bins. I really think that that's a very intentional part from the director. And one of the aspects why I think that this realistic approach works is because they strangely made the protagonist more relatable, by which I mean the fact that he bought those sleeping pills are very relatable to someone like me that has a little bit of a problem sleeping. And also I very much like that this film seems to be set in 2023, by which I mean that in another more anachronistic movie you wouldn't watch your protagonist buying something that he needs for the plot of the movie via Amazon. So yeah, I really like that this movie is set in a more realistic world because you can have a more relatable protagonist, but at the same time there are scenes in which the protagonist is actually scary, like with the scene with the poor taxi driver that was really nice and ended up getting killed just because he drove the villains from one place to another. So yeah, so that was something that I appreciated, that while he could be relatable in certain aspects, he was also, when it counted, really scary. So again, that's another positive aspect. I also want to mention some small details that I found that were really good in the film. Like for example, how after we go into his house, we see vultures outside, which make us think that the girlfriend has been killed. But really, it hasn't, it was just a misdirection. I found that a very interesting way to do a red herring. I also found it really funny how the inside of his parasol said, "Need help, call police." Like if it was a contingency for if he ever gets hit and he gets into the car, he can just like turn it around and people can like call the police without even knowing what really happened. I found that really fun and I actually chuckled in that scene. And the last very small detail that I liked was the scene in which he was being chased by a dog and then he escapes, but the dog is like jumping till here and the fence is here. I found that really amusing, how the dog nearly jumped out by this much. So yeah, but those are like small details that I found funny. Also, I really liked how the film is divided in chapters and that the chapters are modeled after airport signs with the place that he's going to go to and then his target. I found that really interesting. Something that I also found interesting was how he becomes more empathetic throughout the film, but he still kills. The narration is the most omniscient part of the movie because it happens most of the time. And something that I really enjoyed is that at the beginning it seemed like he was teaching us how to be an assassin, but at the end we realized that he was talking to himself, like reminding himself all the time to not show any emotion. And the best scene was when he was repeating himself the narration and he was about to say "don't trust anyone," but right at that second Tilda Swinton's character tries to distract him, but right when she's going to kill him our protagonist kills her, and we finish what he started saying, that trust no one, and it's perfect, it's honestly perfect, and it's a really fun way to do narration, which I really like, and I know there are some filmmaking books that recommend against using it, but I really think that it's one of the most underrated tools in a filmmaker's toolset, because like I said, this film makes us empathize with the killer, and the way that it does it, really, it's not only by the things that we're shown, it's because we know what he's thinking. So yeah, I really like the narration, and also the use of irony in the narration, by the fact that he's saying things that maybe he doesn't really believe. But yeah, I found it really great because it leaves it open to interpretation. To finish with the good aspects of the film, I have to say that Tilda Swinton's monologue is great. Her story with the bear is great. The fake out with the wine is great. I really thought that there was one scene in which she had poisoned our protagonist. And yes, the best aspect of her monologue is that it basically summarizes the movie with the line, "One man's cruelty is another man's pragmatism." I really liked it a lot, and I really enjoyed her character, even if I wanted to see more of her. Okay, so let's talk about the bad aspects of the film, and I have to say that there are not much, but there are some. First of all, I have to say that no hate here, but the actor who portrays Marcus was kind of bad. I think that he was the worst actor in the whole movie, I have to say it. I'm sorry, Marcus, but I have to say it. Then after that, I have to say that there was one point in the movie in which they said fuck like at least 7 times, which again, I really have no issue with curse words, but really, and maybe it's because in Spain we have like a lot of different bad words, but saying fuck like 5 or 7 times, it seemed a little bit repetitive, and like they were trying to be edgy, which, I mean, I don't really have a problem with them doing, but more with the repetition. Also, and I think that this is the worst part of the movie, I didn't really care for the revenge story. By which I mean, I didn't really care emotionally for the revenge story. I mean, because it was cool to see how he was killing everyone. However, I really didn't know nor care about his girlfriend, because the movie didn't really give me a reason to. So at first I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to enjoy the film because I didn't care about the relationship. It wasn't after something clicked and I realized that this movie is meant to be watched as if you were a detached observer of the situation that I started enjoying the movie more. But I really think that I would have liked the movie more if I cared about the relationship. And also, this isn't really a comment on the film as a whole, but I really found it interesting how the only person that survives is the millionaire. I say this because at the beginning of the movie, the killer says that the police care more about the bad things happening to the rich people than the average people. So really, that's why I found it weird how he killed everyone, including innocent people like the taxi driver, but then he let the millionaire live. I wonder if that was because he was afraid of the police catching up to him because he was a very important person, or if that was the point in which he had developed his empathy. I'm really not sure, but I think that I prefer if it was the first thing, because it would make more sense. But yeah, those were the negatives of the film. Well, so that was my review. I hope that you really enjoyed it, and I want to let you know that I also make my reviews in Spanish, if you prefer, here in TableTenReviews. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please like the video and subscribe. I'm going to be releasing more and more reviews. So yeah, until the next time.